Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing a Game of Thrones video for today, giving our thoughts on some fun statistics for the Game of Thrones finale, with it being the highest rated episode of the entire series, and also at the same time the lowest rated with the lowest review scores of any episode of the series. Okay, and spoiler warning, if you guys have not seen the finale yet for Game of Thrones, I imagine everybody and their dog, or wolf, or dragon has seen the Game of Thrones finale at this time. I mean, this was such a long time coming. So, as time goes on, I'm starting to come to terms with this a little bit more, as I'm sure many of you guys are. And we'll do more videos, of course, for the next little while on this, because it is, based on what we see here, it's the biggest episode in the history of television for a drama-type series. It's the biggest episode that has ever been done in anything, in terms of what we got here. So it says, and the link will be in the description to check it out. The Game of Thrones showrunners have long stated they wanted the series to go out on a high note. Just reading what they say. And when it comes to the viewership ratings, at least that mission was firmly accomplished. Okay. Sunday's episode finale, titled The Iron Throne, delivered 19.3 million viewers on HBO, including streaming, blowing past the penultimate episode, The Bells, which had 18.4 million viewers. So it is 19.3 million viewers. Unbelievable. Let's just stop there for a second. Unbelievable. So they have to definitely congratulate themselves on that. They really had, it being with it being the final episode of the series, obviously it was going to be hyped. We knew it was going to be. And, in terms of ratings, what they did worked right up until the very last episode. That's another record for HBO and for scripted entertainment programming this season. The Barry finale also hit a series high with 2.7 million viewers, with 4.8 in gross audience for the season. 19 versus, 2.7. The Game of Thrones finale divided fans. Not 50-50, maybe 70-30. With the episode scoring a series low on Rotten Tomatoes of 57%. But despite some complaints throughout Season 8, the show's audience climbed with nearly every episode. But let's stop there for that. I mean, it probably was going to, right? Because it was that was the approach they went with it. They went a drama-based approach with it. So even after episode 5, you needed to watch the next one, because you couldn't believe what Daenerys just did and what was going to happen, and you had to see right up until the end in terms of the drama and just what was going to happen and how things were going to finish off. Also, the series has built over the 9 years such a huge fan base. It's not just another TV show. It's it's a franchise in and of itself. And it's really crazy to see HBO's kind of letting it go like this, but they're going to do the prequels and all that, and the other whatever spin-offs they're going to do. We'll see. Other Game of Thrones type series. So not a lot of people. 57%, the lowest rating of any episode of the whole series. So I think everybody was excited to see the finale and to see what they were going to do. And it's probably safe to say just about nobody really liked it. If you have a series low of that low in terms of the scores, after this many years and everything, that's obviously it was exciting going in. It was the most exciting ever going in, and then when everyone left, it was one of the most disappointing displays we have ever seen. HBO says the season is averaging more than 44.2 million viewers once all forms of viewing are counted. So 6 episodes, probably the biggest 6 episodes of any series ever in terms of viewership and everything. They had it, man, and it's sad to say that it's the end, but it is the end, and with them finishing it in Season 8, that's part of the reason why it was so big. If they would have kept going season after season after season into Season 10, 11, and 12, it would have eventually turned down. It's because they decided to end it at this point while it's still hot. Everybody wanted to see it right up until the last minute. So that's an achievement for everybody involved, and they did do a great job of that. I think it's just that, it's in hindsight, it was exciting going in because of the way they did it, but they chose that kind of excitement and hype and sort of unpredictableness over kind of having kind of something that would be nice to look back on. And a lot of people just really, really, really dissatisfied with the finale. As you guys know, I am after all the videos we made this week and everything. But it's probably true also that we shouldn't let it ruin the whole series for us, even though the ending was a super huge, a huge letdown. It's still, I still think that after all those years, there is still, there's still some, you have to find it. You got to search for it. You got to look for it, like I discussed in the meaning video. But there is still some good stuff in it. It's just such a tragedy that at the end, they decided to go out on that note and just kind of keep it being a drama series right up until the last minute with twists and turns and not being able to see it. And that was really, it sounds like that was the focus. It was not really, they didn't really want to have it be sort of that, that wasn't what they wanted. They wanted to have it be a drama show, and that was their main focus rather than, trying to make it become something bigger or kind of finishing it on just kind of a happy note, something like that, then maybe you wouldn't get those ratings or whatever. But still, at the same time, it really is going to affect if you're going to be able to do anything afterwards. It really feels to me like they wanted to wrap it up so that nothing could be done with it after. Tammy Yeager Gibson said, Dany didn't go mad. She was the same from the start. How is everyone so blind to this fact? Well, if you missed the video I did on Tuesday, apparently the actress Emilia Clarke was also blind to that. So you should also include her in what you're saying, that she was blind as well too, because she didn't see her Daenerys' story in the end becoming a villainous type of tyrannical, conquering type of character. So even she didn't see that. Even she said it came out of effing nowhere. So it's up to you. How did anyone not see it? Well, even the person doing it didn't see it. And there's a lot to that. If you think about how can you, as an actress or actor, how can you portray the character in a descent into madness if you or in that kind of trajectory, if you don't even see the character that way yourself? You can't, because you see the character a different way. You're portraying it a different way. There's a disconnect there, right? So that's what we're all describing, we're all seeing, I think. Sam, the Slayer Tarley, said, totally agree with all your points. Did you know that HBO wanted more episodes and seasons of Game of Thrones, but it was Weiss and Benioff who refused their request and said the story had to end in like 13 episodes. This was before season 7, right? Then we find out they are now in charge of the new Star Wars trilogy to be released in 2022. It should be obvious now they rushed the ending of Game of Thrones because they had a plum job lined up and had to end GOT by a specific date, or they would lose that opportunity. We all know Disney weren't going to move the dates of release of their new movie for anyone. They would have just hired someone else to do the new trilogy. Time is money, etc. So the fans of Game of Thrones who suffered by getting a rushed, poorly written last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. Yeah, he's got it. They rushed it through to wrap it up, in the time that they could, and they wanted to include that turn for Daenerys, and the episodes were so condensed, it happened so fast that even the actress didn't see it coming and thought it came out of effing nowhere. John Conquest said, Normies, wake up. This season was awful. They're trying to gaslight us into believing, she was a mass murderer all along. But we all know she was not, and I'll add this in too. Even the actress has basically confirmed that she was not, in her opinion, right, up until that point. The writers of the show should never work again. They got lazy, and they turned a great show into a terrible one. Well, just to say, we can't argue with the ratings. Obviously, they did a lot right in wrapping it up and in everything to keep it exciting and keep people wanting to see it. It's just such a shame in hindsight that they decided to go with that sort of that drama thing of, okay, now this happens and this does this and that does that and this does that, and even with some of them saying like they weren't sure how the fans were going to feel about it. They didn't even know how they felt about it, and that was what Game of Thrones was. I guess for a lot of us, we thought of Game of Thrones after the last couple of years and some of the big battles and everything as like season 6 and the way things went near the end there, Battle of the Bastards, and some of the epicness that has been Game of Thrones. Some of us thought of the series at this point as a little bit different from what it was many years ago during the Red Wedding and during events like this. And they sort of brought it back to that, as the way they wanted to finish it, as their vision of having this grade, people are flawed kind of idea, and have that be the forefront of it. It's just a lot of viewers don't like it, and it's not a great way to end the story, right? It isn't. As terrible as her ending was on a writing level, that's a turn that requires half a season to justify at least. I would give Emilia Clarke an Emmy for playing it as well as it could have been played. It's not her fault, right? She had no time. They rushed it through to the end. They included it as like a last couple of episodes, right? And that's a whole story arc that probably you should focus on at least half a season to a season of like 5 episodes to 10 episodes, right? And I agree with what she's saying here. Just a Twist says, terrible ending to what was a great story. It really stinks when writers can't just go with a good old-fashioned happy ending. Everything works out in the end type of story. So they used the last few to destroy characters. Daenerys said she was going to break the wheel and set people free, but then the last 2 episodes she showed no mercy and was giving no one a chance. It was her way or the highway, a typical tyrant. So she becomes it's very sad. She becomes a tyrant. They drag the character through the mud. They make it so that, it's hard to be a fan of her after when it's all said and done. It's hard to be a fan of Jon in the end. It's hard to be a fan of Bran or Tyrion. It's hard to be a fan of anybody when it all was done. It just was kind of a mess, and it's not like they're denying that they sort of lived in that chaotic. They pretty much confirm in the interviews, if you read them through, that that's kind of where they kind of wanted to be at. That's kind of what they wanted. They gave us what they wanted to give us. It just wasn't. It wasn't, I think, totally thought through all the way to the legacy of the series. Either that being it, or just having that shock value and that drama of back and forth and this and that and backstabbing and this whole thing was more important to them than having a final kind of nice sort of ending for everybody that rewarded the viewer for watching the show for the 9 years or the 8 seasons. It wasn't that type of ending. It wasn't a rewarding ending at all. And ultimately, people will forget what you say to them. People will forget what you do to them. But people will not forget how you make them feel. And that ending for Game of Thrones made a lot of people feel a way where it was like, you just didn't need to do it. And, it's over now, so it's what it is. Lady Linus says, when Tyrion woke up, I was hoping he was dreaming. Jon killed Daenerys. Jon Snow was the most screwed up of all people. His whole life was a lie. What the F is at the wall? The Night King is dead. It was like they used Daenerys to kill the Lannisters and then turn around and killed her. Yeah, it's a drama, back and forth, twists and turns. That was what they made the focus in the end, right, of the story and the way they wrapped it up. It's really, it's hardly an ending if you think of it as a series ending. It's very hardly an ending for a show. It's more of like a last episode type of series and cancellation almost. And the very last one will be from Minas, Pam Burris, who says, first possible ending, Tyrion kills Daenerys, and basically the same story should be repeated as with the Mad King, who was killed by Jaime. Second possible ending, everyone gets killed. What actually happens? The Starks won. That's the taste I'm left with. Daenerys literally saved their asses, and then they killed her because she burned King's Landing, something they would do anyway. Then Arya says, I know a killer when I see one. LOL, Sansa hates Daenerys since the beginning of the season. We don't know why, probably because she's blonde. Throughout the whole season, they tried too hard to make Daenerys look mad and unstoppable. She was killed in a 5-minute scene. The Dragon Mother, the Unburned, etc. No grieving, no. So, yeah, just leaving that kind of a taste in everybody's mouth that it's like a very lackluster ending of something that was so hyped up and so epic at points. I almost feel like they went back to some things that really... I mean, when I think back to the best parts of the series, I don't think the Red Wedding is the best. It's very sad and everything, but when I think of the best episodes, I don't think of, the tragedy. Like, there's tragedy in it, throughout the series, but I didn't want the series to be a series of tragedy, like the whole thing to be a tragedy. And unfortunately, that's what they made it. They made the ending a tragedy, and it's like, man, killing my replay value. There's no reason to watch it back now, right? I mean, I still enjoyed the series heavily, so I don't want to say that, and just like, I don't want to say that the whole thing is totally useless, but it really hurt the overall kind of series as a whole. That'll be it for this video for today, guys. Let me know what you think. The highest ratings ever in terms of viewership and the lowest ratings ever in terms of review scores, critics, and fan feedback. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. If you liked the video, please thumb it up below. You can share, favorite, and subscribe to the bottom left if you're new. That's it for this one. I'll see you guys again soon for another. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.